Hey y'all, I'm Winnie, a therapist and a life coach who enjoys humor and a good laugh.
Now, this just can't be possible. How is this actually happening right now?
I love hearing people's stories because stories connect us all on such a deep level.
So like ever since then, it's like the fear is like doubled times 10.
I find storytellers with great, unique, and sometimes ridiculously crazy stories to tell.
And his eyes got big like that. I said, oh, that's him. That's him. I know that from anywhere.
And I try to guess whether the story I just heard was true or made up.
I was like, Lord, I know I'm not supposed to be getting seduced by stuff like this. You never said that this type of stuff was fake.
The best part about it is that you get to help me solve the mystery.
The next thing I know, Justin Bieber is hopping out of an Escalade going to a hotel.
Was the story that I just heard true? Or was it made up?
Woo! I'm getting into this. Yeah. All right.
You're watching Wow, That's Crazy. Hello, everybody, and welcome to tonight's episode of Wow, That's Crazy. For tonight's episode, we're going to be hearing a story from Victoria.
Hello.
Hi, Victoria, and welcome to the show. How are you?
I'm fine, Winnie. How are you?
I'm doing pretty well. So you have a story for us tonight.
Yes, I do.
Okay, let's hear it.
Okay. Well, I'm just going to start with saying I used to live in Atlanta for 20 years.
Okay.
And back in the day, I actually moved down there in 1996. Back in the day when you used to rent videos, DVDs from Hollywood Video, Blockbuster, what have you. I had rented this movie back in 2005 called The Skeleton Key.
Okay.
It had Kate Hudson in it, and it had Gina Rollins and John Hurt. And I always like movies that are based down in New Orleans or Savannah, areas where it's kind of, creepy and, because I like that atmosphere a lot. So, and I'm an aspiring filmmaker. Okay. So when I'm looking at a movie, I like to not only watch the movie, but I like to look at the behind the scenes, the special features, how a movie is made, how they put it together. And back when you used to could rent DVDs, you had the option after the movie was over to look at the special features. Right. You can't do that now with streaming. You can't. You stream something on Netflix or Amazon or where there's no way to access the special features like you could do in DVDs, unfortunately. But back then you could do that. So if anyone's not familiar with the movie, it's a movie. It has some bases in voodoo and hoodoo. And dealing with a young woman that's involved with an elderly couple and so on and so forth, and the backdrop of that. Well, after the movie was over, I accessed the special features area, and they had interviews with Kate Hudson, and how she had some paranormal experiences, and then there was a segment where they were talking with some voodoo priestess and women that were telling the difference between what hoodoo is and what voodoo is. And it was just interesting to me. I was fascinated. I mean, I'm a born again believer, and I know I shouldn't be too fascinated with things like that, but I like to, it's interesting. I'm not, but it was interesting to read how one is considered a religion and the other one is considered black magic. And they even showed a few, actual voodoo things. And I was enthralled. I was looking at it. I was into it. And at the time I lived in Tucker, Georgia, which is a suburb of Atlanta. And my sister had moved out. She was roommating with me and staying with me temporarily, and she had already moved out. Well, anyway, it was nighttime. So I'm watching this movie, and I'm looking at the behind the scenes and all of that, special features, getting seduced by what I'm looking at, because, I watch the Ghost Hunters and Ghostbusters and all that on ID Discovery, stuff that I should not be looking at. But I look at stuff like that. I've learned to stop because it's just not right. Well, I should not be doing that. But so I'm looking at anyway it ends 3 a.m. because I'm a night owl. I look at movies. Back then you could put movies on repeat on the DVD. I cut the movie off. I'm laying in the bed. I'm asleep. It's about 2:30, whatever. So I hear Vic. And like I wake up. Like I'm looking around like because I done fell asleep. So I wake up and I'm looking around in my bedroom and I'm thinking, well, I know I heard somebody call my name.
Mm-hmm.
But my sister has moved out. Because she was sleeping in the living room. Because it was a 1-bedroom apartment. She had the living room. I had my bedroom. So I'm like, it couldn't have been my sister because she done moved out.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, it's not the neighbors. I'm like, and I know I heard somebody call my name. I said, Lord, I said, I am sorry. I said, I got up out of bed and I repented. I was like, Lord, I know I'm not supposed to be getting seduced by stuff like this. You never said that this type of stuff was fake. You said we shouldn't dabble in it. I said, Lord, I please forgive me. I hit the eject button on that DVD player. I grabbed that DVD as a skeleton key. I threw on my jeans. I got in my car because back then you could still drive, you know, the Hollywood videos and the black. You could drive up in the night deposit slot and like put your movie in there. It was like 3:15 in the morning. I'm in my car. I'm driving like, Lord, I'm getting ready to take this movie back. I'm like, here you go. I drive up to the Hollywood Video night deposit, throw that movie in there, and I'm driving home and I'm like, because I had read, you know, with my research into the paranormal, I realized that between the hours of 12 midnight and 3 a.m. is usually if there's any kind of paranormal activity, it happens within a witching hour. That's called the witching hour between 12 and 3. So I'm like, Lord, I'm so sorry. I know you didn't want us to, I had never experienced that before. I know what I heard. I know I went crazy. And I know somebody called my name. And I'm thinking, well, you know, it could have been God. But I'm like, no, not after I just got finished watching about voodoo. I'm like, this ain't God calling me. This is somebody else. So I'm like, I can't. I went home. I got in my apartment. I'm like, Lord, I'm so sorry. I will never do that. Now, I like the movie, okay? I actually have it in one of my collections because I buy a lot of old movies that I like. But I look at movies like that now from the aspect of just a moviegoer watching a good story. I'm not trying to find out if the stuff is real.
Right.
I'm not trying to look into it and do any extensive research anymore. I'm not trying to get seduced and enthralled by it anymore. I'm just like, hey, that was a really good movie with Kate Hudson. I like her as an actress. And that's the end of it. So I never had that experience again. And I tell my family members this, and they look at me like, Vic, really? You know, you have a habit of drinking Heinekens. I mean, you know, it's possible you might have been a little lit, a little inebriated. And I'm like, no, I know what I heard. I know I heard somebody say Vic. And that's what made me wake up out of my sleep. And I'm like, my sister moved out 3 months ago. So I know she ain't in the living room calling me. So I'm just now have learned, I don't watch those type of movies anymore like I used to. Now I'm more along the lines of watching movies where the villain can be killed with a bullet. I don't watch movies about spirits that can't be killed. I want to deal with mere mortals. I want to deal with people that can die. So I watch movies that aren't into the paranormal realm anymore. And I don't do that anymore. Because every time I do that, I always have a either creepy experience or I'm in my bed at night and the room get kind of cold. And I'm like, and I'm grabbing for my Bible, and God is like, I done told you not to look at stuff like this. Now, you're not going to be satisfied until stuff start moving around in your room by itself. So I just have learned to not do that. But yes, it was the skeleton key, and I don't care if people say, well, voodoo's not that bad. I don't know about it. If I ever visit New Orleans, I'm not going to see Marie Laveau or whatever the heck her name is. And I'm not going to the cemeteries, and I'm not taking any ghost tours. But that's my story.
Oh my gosh, Victoria, you had me rolling. You had me rolling. Like I have tears in my eyes right now. I'm laughing so hard. And I have to say the story was real. Like this was true. Like this is my guess. I am guessing that this actually happened. Wow, this was an amazing story. It was crazy for sure, but it was amazing. I laughed so hard.
I saw you.
So much. Thank you so much for making my day and for making me laugh so hard. This was awesome.
Not a problem. Not a problem. Glad I could help.
Thank
Go
you
ahead.
so much. And thank you everybody for watching. That's our episode for tonight.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. Thank you so
Okay.
much.